Hello everyone, welcome to my new show. My name is Proxy Damage. My new show doesn't have a name yet. Might at some point soon, hopefully. Uh, Next time we'll probably have like a really cool overlay with a title and stuff like that. This is a pilot episode, so apologies if it's a little raw, a little unedited. It's a learning experience for me as well, right? So, what is this about? This is a little bit of a soapbox for me to talk about different things, like a new character, like we're going to talk about this week about Medusa, or any topic that is relevant to Smite and to people, and for me to talk about, of course. So this week we're going to be talking about Medusa, as I said before. Specifically her kit, what's her role, what her role is going to be, whether she looks overpowered, underpowered, how she's going to perform. Uh, Hopefully, we don't know yet. Like we won't be sure of how she's going to perform until she's out, but what I expect she will do. So first of all, I'm not going to do a very in-depth explanation of what their skills do. We have a dev insight. I'm going to put it on the bottom. You guys can read it carefully. I'll give you a TLDR version. Sidewinder, it basically lets her sidestep with no penalty. Normal characters are slower when they sidestep. She can do that for free basically, and when she walks backwards, she only gets half the penalty. I think Sidewinder is a really good, really strong passive that a lot of people are not going to discredit or not going to give the appropriate value because mobility is really important for a hunter. If you ever played hunter, you know that like the ability to dodge other people's skill shots and to line up your own, to pop in and out of line of sight, for example, that's super important. And the fact that she's faster than other hunters is going to give her an edge in the dueling department or in team fights and stuff like that that they don't have. Uh, there's a number one skill is Viper Shot. It turns her next three basic attacks. They're normal basic attacks still, but they come out 100% attack speed extra. So like they're super fast. They're in most builds they're gonna overcap. Sorry, in most builds they're gonna overcap the attack speed. They're gonna come out at basically max attack speed, and they do an extra poison that stacks. So it used to be almost double damage for three attacks, but it was nerfed recently. So if I remember correctly, right now it's approximately 1.5 extra basic attacks on top of her three attacks that she does normally that can crit normally like everything. Uh, and number two attack is Acid Spray. It's a line nuke that after it hits something spreads out. It has a really high base damage. It's like 370 if I remember correctly. That's the same base damage as Anur's Impale. So there's a really high amount of base damage. It's gonna be strong early, of course. Lacerate is the last skill. She dashes and it's actually a fairly long dash and it's fast. And at the end, if she touches an enemy, she temporarily immobile. It's sort of a grab. She temporarily immobilizes herself and her enemy. And finally, her ultimate. Her ultimate is one of the most interesting parts of her kit. Cassiopeia's ultimate. Sorry, don't know what that was about. Uh, Basically, she does a slow wind up. You can totally see it coming after you get a little used to it. Maybe for some people, but you can totally see it coming. And then she sort of does a area nuke with a little bit of range that everybody in front of her facing her takes a lot of base damage, like 700 base damage at max level. That's almost the same as Hercules Boulder. That is a lot of base damage, and they're stunned for 2 seconds. If they're not facing her, they take half damage, which is 350 damage. Is perfectly normal. It's not nothing noticeable, and they're only slowed for 2 seconds, right? So let's start with her ultimate, because I think it's the most interesting and most debatable part of her kit. Because I think the popularity of her ultimate is gonna go like up, down, up. At first, she's gonna be considered like super overpowered because people aren't used to reacting to her ultimate. So most people are gonna take the full brunt 700 base damage and 100% scaling. So in average, it's gonna be something like 1,000 1,000 damage is gonna do to you, and then 2 seconds stun. And the 2 second stun against a late game hunter is absurd. Like, you're gonna die. That's it. If you take a 2 second stun late game, you're dead. But then people are gonna get used to reacting to it, and turning around whenever she does her ultimate or turning sideways or whatever. And they're gonna her ultimate most of the time is gonna be a 2-second slow and 350 base damage, which isn't that much. So people, oh, that's crap. That's basically a normal skill. And but here's the thing: after that's going to be a period, people are going to realize that that's actually really powerful because it's a little bit, it's a hidden power, like Nox's old ultimate, where as soon as she starts her skill, because it's such a high risk, high danger, high threat kind of skill, you have to immediately stop what you're doing and look away. And unlike in League of Legends or Dota or other MOBAs, top-down MOBAs, where you can just click away and your character faces the other way, but you still have the same. Nothing else changes for you other than that you can't attack. In Smite, your vision is sort of not over the shoulder, but behind the character and above, so you only have a similar line of sight that your character does. So when you turn around, you lose vision, and that is super important. The fact that you not only lose the ability to fight back temporarily, but lose vision of your enemy for like, I don't know, 2 seconds. That means your team can do whatever they want, and that you, Medusa, are gonna get like 1 or 2 free basic attacks, and that is huge. That is a lot of damage on top of the 350 damage you basically get for free, because it is a base damage as a skill. Like, so late game, early game, I think she's gonna be a bit of a lane bully. You're probably gonna want to level Acid Spray first, because it's a really good clear, and it has like really high base damage. It's 370, as I said. I think it's really high, and it's good to clear the lane. It's good to harass people if you like if they hide behind the wave, you can use the spray after the hit to hit them. So you create sort of a really bad decision for them, in which if they don't hide behind the wave, you can auto attack them for not for free, but you can auto attack them or basic attack them. But if they hide, arrest them with basics. If they hide in the middle of the wave or behind the wave, then you can use Acid Spray to clear the wave and hit them. So that's you're giving them a choice of two bad choices, right? On top of that, you have Petrify, which is always a threat. As we mentioned, it's going to be the same kind of level of threat throughout the game. And Lacerate, their dash is still. You have Sidewinder for extra mobility, and their dash is going to be really good to get out of a bad situation. As the game goes on, I think she's going to be super strong when it comes to dueling. First of all, she has super high single target burst, right? Super high, because she does even assuming you don't land your ultimate. If you land your normal attacks, it's like one basic attack cancelled into Viper Shot, which is gonna be like 3 basic attacks at super high speed. They're gonna be like the time of 1.5 basic attacks normally, because it's 100, or at least 2. Which Poison, which had another 1.5 basic attack, which then gives you another basic attack cancelled into Acid Spray, which has high base damage. All of this, you're gonna get. I'm eyeballing it, but you're gonna get anywhere between 4 and 6 attacks worth of damage in the same time that other carries without steroids are gonna do like 2 or 3. She has super high single target damage. And she's a hunter. Like, hunters do a lot of damage late game naturally because of the way they build and scale. And she has a Lacerate to immobilize it to get another free hit. She has Petrify, as I told you, which either gives you 2 seconds of free hits and 1,000 base damage. 1,000 damage. Or at least two basic attacks for 1 or 2 basic attacks for free, and forces them to turn around and lose vision of you. And she has like the extra movement of her passive. She's gonna be a nightmare to duel, I think. Like, unless you're a really high burst assassin that like can completely 100 to 0 her, or a mage or something. Like, if you cannot 100 to 0 her before she can do anything, something like a Loki or maybe a Serket, you don't want to fight her. She's gonna kill you. But when it comes to with team fights, she's gonna be a little weaker. Why? Because she likes a steroid, something like a Rama or a Artemis have. Like, she has a steroid, but it's for 3 basic attacks, which aren't. It's not that much compared to 6 seconds at 75 attack speed or 60% attack speed extra, where you can just sort of go nuts in the front line, kill them all, well, not in the front line because you're gonna die, but to whatever is in front of you. Her Viper shot is mostly gonna be about hitting, like bursting down one target, unless they're already dead, but mostly gonna be about bursting down one target. So she doesn't have that kind of raw DPS ability of most other hunters. Her big and she can't do her dash to stun the target either because she stuns herself. And stunning yourself as a squishy hunter in a late game team fight when you just burned your one getaway, that is not a recipe for a long life. So she's still gonna be doing okay. I mean, she still has her basic attacks with ranged basic attacks, which is what hunters do. But her big contribution late game in team fights is definitely gonna be her ultimate, because her ultimate works. It doesn't have a very large radius, but it works in a similar fashion of look away or you're gonna die, which means that the rest of your team can then follow up with whatever they want because they don't have any vision, right? I think she's gonna be paired up the best, possibly with Athena, and she's also gonna be good with what's his name, Ymir and Ares. Anything that can CC a target for a long time is gonna be, or add a little burst, is gonna be good with her because it lines up her own ultimate and lets her even burst the target even better. But I think she's gonna be better with Athena. Why? Because Athena has a super long taunt, 2 seconds taunt, and the reason that's better than Ymir's normal stun is that a taunt turns everybody automatically towards you. Like when Ymir stuns people, they're stunned in whatever direction they were. So if they were running away, they get stunned with their back to Medusa, right? Which is still good. It's still a long stun. You can do whatever you want, that damage. But Athena, like if she taunts 3 people, they all look at you. They're all looking at you, and for 2 seconds, either they beads out of it, or they're going to eat your ultimate. They're going to eat the petrify. So in those situations where Athena can get 2, 3, 4 people's taunts, which is usually it's going to be 2 or 3 people at most, you're going to land like an amazing petrify for a 3000 damage plus, because of CC reduction, another second and something of stun. You're gonna so between the two of you, you're gonna stun people for over 3 seconds and over 1,500 damage because she gets a shield wall for free. That's a lot. That's gonna be monsters. I think that's gonna be the new Odin Zeus combo. Odin, drops the cage. Zeus drops his own ulti inside, and everybody's stuck taking auto damage. I think this is gonna be the new Wombo combo of choice. But outside of that, she doesn't have the same kind of DPS capabilities of other hunters. Acid Spray is gonna let her team fight somewhat because it has good scaling, decent scaling, and good base damages. But it's not the same as an Artemis that has passively higher crit chance and 75% attack speed that's gonna go nuts and stunning everybody with her boar. Right. So she's gonna be strong. I'm wondering if people are gonna start picking up Jotun's Wrath on her, because Jotun's Wrath is, because she's an hybrid of a caster and basic attacker, and Jotun's Wrath is like a core for a caster because it's 25% cooldown reduction. It's a lot of base power. It's 40. It's good base power, and it's flat penetration, which helps not only with your scaling but with your base damage, because base damage doesn't get anything from scaling, but it does benefit from penetration. So I'm wondering if people are going to pick that up on her as more of a flex kind of pick. We'll see. Other than that, she's safe because Lacerate. One important detail about Lacerate, though, it's not just a dash. It is a collision dash. So you can block her getaway. That is something that's important to remember. If you body block her, she can't dash through you. She's going to dash at you, which means she's not as safe as like an Apollo, which is gonna dash and knock you aside, or like a OE, which is gonna jump up in the air and float over everybody. Her dash is fairly fast and it's fairly long range, but it will stop on the first enemy it hits, and worse, it's gonna stop and immobilize her. So she's gonna be vulnerable to body blocking, and she's not gonna bring as much raw DPS as other characters. Those are gonna be her weaknesses. Will she be too strong? I don't know. She looks very strong right now, but I think she definitely needs some playtesting at a high level, so to speak. And we'll see. It's just there's no other amount of testing that's gonna do that. I think we're done for now. Let me know. I definitely did a few too many. Sorry, this is a learning experience as I said. I'm gonna improve that. There's gonna be a better layout, maybe a better camera in the future. Let me know what you guys think. Feedback down below on the comments. Anything else you guys want to see? You don't want to see this at all, maybe. Let me know. Proxy damage signing off. Y'all take care.